Hello again, my name's Craig from Penguin, and one of the most common questions we get asked is, when can I afford to retire? I was actually watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire the other night with my son Lewis, and his words were, if I won the £1 million I'd retire. I took it upon myself to point out to him that it's massively unlikely to be able to afford to do that. He looked a little bit puzzled. I asked him if he'd buy a house, he said yes. New car, yes. Couple of holidays, yes. Give some money to mum and dad, yes. So I asked him, how much do you think that all costs? And it began to dawn on him that actually at 27, £1 million will actually not go that far. Because that's not even taking into account that suddenly when you come into that kind of money, the choices you make would probably change. You become more extravagant for a while in the way you lived. So he asked me, how much does someone need to retire? So unfortunately that is the $64,000 question. There are multiple answers to this, but the key is to really understand what retirement really looks like for you. What we would ask you first is, are you sure you've actually had enough? When will you know enough is enough? Because retirement looks completely different today to how it did 20, 30 years ago. Not many people just give up on a Friday and then spend 20, 30 years in retirement anymore. People phase in retirement, they take up second careers, do volunteer work, become babysitters for their grandkids and much, much more. The key thing to work out first is, what does it actually look like and when do you want it to begin? It being retirement. When you then have suddenly 168 hours a week to spend on you and your loved ones, what are you actually going to do with your days, your weeks, your months? What passions are you going to explore? What hobbies are you going to take up? Are you going to take some courses? Where are you going to go? Who are you going to spend time with? Once you can map this out, then you can start to put a cost on it. Lots of people make the mistake of thinking that once the mortgage is gone, they're retired, that they won't spend much more than what they spend now. They'll spend their bills and a few pound extra for eating out and a couple of holidays a year. But whilst you're working, the time you spend in your job stops you spending money on the things you want to do. It limits the travelling and visiting you can do. When you create the time, you are likely to create some kind of spend. But this all does depend on what you want to do before you leave this earth. We only get one chance at this, don't forget. Once you know what it looks like and when you want it to happen, and maybe how you want it to happen, if you're going to slowly reduce your hours or your days over a period of time, then you need to assess what you have. What assets, savings, pensions do you have? What income sources do you have? When will they start paying out, such as the state pension? Are you due any inheritances? Will you downsize? Maybe even upsize price-wise? There are so many variables to consider, and each of them could affect how much your retirement pot needs to be worth and produce for you. If you are in a financial position to retire at say 60, then the amount you have accumulated during your working life has to potentially pay you an income for 40 years. That's potentially 480 paydays if you live to the age of 100. The good news is that a financial planning firm like Penguin will discuss all of the above points with you and more, and produce something for you that will show you whether you can afford to retire on your terms, or whether your retirement date is going to be dictated to you by your employer, or worse still, the state. The most important thing to do is come and speak to someone as early as you can to assess what you have, where you want to end up. Then you can map out how you get there with someone guiding you along the way. The best conversations we have are when we can show people their financial freedom date. This is the day when you are working out of choice rather than necessity. You have now got enough money to last the rest of your life. We will then help you understand the real risks to your retirement, such as inflation. The biggest thing that people underestimate going into retirement is the power of inflation. We will coach you on how changes may affect your plan. What happens if we do the things such as take more holidays for the first few years, or help the kids out with a deposit on a house. We'll discuss tax planning with you and help you understand what returns you need on your money to make this all possible. It has to start with the end in mind, as someone famous once said. What does your ideal retirement look like? Map it out, explain it in vivid detail to someone else, and then do some maths to see what is possible. Thank you for watching. At Penguin, we help people plan for their financial freedom date using our Plan, Form, Protect process to help people understand their numbers and retire on their terms. Do please contact us for a discovery meeting at our expense and with no obligation, or download our book The Wealth Secret to help you explore this and understand this further. Thank you for watching.